All right, welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we're going to decode one of the literally most foundational pillars of object-oriented programming. We're skipping the dense textbook jargon, and instead, we're stripping things right down to look at the elegant, logical architecture of Java encapsulation. We're going to see exactly how robust software keeps its internal state completely safe from the chaos of the outside world, and we're going to do it entirely through clear, structured visuals.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What do an ATM, an everyday school bag, and a tiny medicine capsule have in common with Java programming? I know, right? Sounds kind of like the setup to a strange joke. But actually, these everyday objects hold the absolute secret to understanding solid system architecture. By the time we wrap up here, you're going to see exactly how the design of these physical items mirrors the exact way expert programmers write, well, practically indestructible code. Section 1. The core concept. Protecting the inside from the outside.
To really grasp this, think about a standard medicine capsule, right? Inside is the active ingredient, but you don't break the thing open to handle the powder directly, do you? No way. You take the capsule as a whole. The outer shell protects the contents and, crucially, controls how it's absorbed. Well, in Java, encapsulation equals hiding data plus controlling access to it. As you can see here, it acts exactly like that protective shell. When we build software, we've got critical system data, and instead of just leaving it exposed to the elements, we encapsulate it inside a class. We're protecting it from direct access, making sure other parts of the program can only interact with it in highly controlled ways.
Moving on to Section 2, Real-World Encapsulation, the school bag.
Okay, imagine your everyday school bag packed with your laptop, your documents, your personal items, the whole shebang. Now think of a system with direct access. That's like leaving that bag totally unzipped in a crowded room. Anyone could just reach in, mess with your stuff, or grab your data. Pure chaos. Just ask literally anyone who's ever had to debug a global state mutation caused by some errant piece of code 3 modules away. It's a nightmare. Now flip that and consider controlled access. You keep the bag zipped, you manage the state, you and only you dictate how items are taken out or put in. And what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly it contrasts the right and wrong ways to handle data. That controlled state management, that is encapsulation in a nutshell.
So let's look at how this translates to a Java student class. Think of the class as that zipped bag we just talked about. Inside, we have our private data, like the student's name and age. Because we declare them as private, they're completely hidden from the outside environment. Zero direct mutations allowed by external components. Instead, you've got to interact with the class through strict API gateways. These are your specific, predefined methods, which programmers know as getters and setters.
Now, you might be wondering, why build this barrier in the first place? Well, because controlled access lets us enforce strict logic. For example, say some external process tries to set a student's age to, -5. Our method catches that and immediately rejects the invalid state. Actually, scratch that. Without this barrier, anyone could just inject garbage data right into our system, leading to unexpected crashes or corrupted databases. Encapsulation guarantees that our internal data remains consistently 100% valid.
All right, Section 3, the ATM analogy, controlling the system.
We've talked about a personal bag, but let's scale this up to a massive operation. Think about when you walk up to an ATM. You're interacting with your bank, sure, but you cannot directly see or alter the bank's central database. I mean, imagine if you could. If any random customer could just open up the bank's main spreadsheet and type in a new balance, the entire global financial system would literally collapse in seconds. Instead, you're only allowed to interact using the specific buttons and screen options they give you.
The ATM restricts you to 3 specific, highly controlled actions: checking your balance, withdrawing money, and depositing money. That is it. You initiate a withdrawal, and the ATM handles all the complex state mutations behind the scenes. It securely talks to the database, verifies your funds, spits out the cash, and updates the ledger. The machine controls everything internally. This is the ultimate real-world example of hiding data and allowing controlled access only through specific methods.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, translating to Java code, the bank account class. Take a look at the number 1000 here. Imagine this is the starting balance for our newly created Java bank account class. But, and this is absolutely crucial, this isn't just some loose, globally accessible variable for anyone to play with. No, it is strictly labeled as private, encapsulated data within our code. And because it's private, it's entirely hidden inside the protective architecture of the bank account class. Absolutely no external routine can just reach in, grab this 1,000, and overwrite it to $1,000,000.
So the question is, how do we actually interact with that protected balance? Well, we use ATM-style Java methods. Because the data is locked down tight, programmers absolutely must use exact predefined methods to interact with the account, specifically withdraw, deposit, and get balance. These methods act exactly like the physical buttons on an ATM. They govern the access. When you call, say, the deposit method, the method itself takes the input, securely does the math, and updates that private balance, making sure all the core banking rules are followed perfectly along the way.
Which brings us to Section 5, the final takeaway, building invisible protections.
Think about how this incredibly simple idea of hiding and controlling scales all the way up. From the tiny protective shell of a medicine capsule keeping ingredients safe, to a zipped school bag protecting your laptop, all the way up to an ATM securing global banking software. It's the exact same architectural principle. Our source material actually summarizes it perfectly with this foundational thought. Encapsulation is like an ATM. You can use it, but you cannot directly access or break its internal system. By keeping our state private and routing all interactions through carefully crafted methods, we're building code that is robust, reliable, and practically indestructible from the outside.
I want to leave you with a thought to take back to your own desk today. If an ATM protects a bank's money, what vulnerable data in your own code needs a protective capsule right now? Next time you sit down to build a class, ask yourself, are you leaving your data out in the open like an unzipped bag, or are you securing it like a bank vault? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to explore more fascinating concepts with you next time.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos.